Good evening, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome back to the channel. And yes, I'm bringing the vests back because today I have been tortured entirely at my own choice, I might add, but I have been tortured. And so I need to have a vest on so that I don't get rubbish. I don't want rubbish right now. Okay. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the stream. More 10th edition rules. This time it's the turn of the Tau Empire. For the first half an hour of the stream, at the very, very least, half an hour of the show, we'll talk about the Tau rules. And then Luke will probably join us and we'll talk about nonsense. Because it is 40k After Dark, right? It is 40k After Dark. We've talked loads about rules all week. So for 40k After Dark, we end up talking about nonsense and stuff like that, right? Anyway, welcome back. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Big shout out to everybody who's... People have been gifting already. I don't know what's going on, but people have already been gifting. So thank you to Nurgle Matthew, who's gifted 3, Cyanide, who's gifted 2, and Nordos, who's gifted 1. 6 massive members already. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And Faulty Discord, thank you for the 5. Terminators, if they're not in cover and get hit by a 1 AP weapon, their save can't be improved. But if it was 2 AP weapon, their save could be improved to 3 again. But if they get hit by a 1 AP weapon, they're on 3 anyway. But thank you for the 5, man. You're a hero. Yes, and thank you for the gifted. There's 7 so far.
Maybe I am too simple-minded. Get it? But this army rule seems overly complicated. Why not just say any unit with a marker like /drone allow you to allocate +1 base /ignore cover to itself or another unit? Done.
We will get into this, John. Note the title of the stream. Remember, simplified, not simple. Never was a truer word spoken. Thank you so much for all the gifts. If you shower me with gifted memberships and super chats tonight, it might help cheer me up. Okay, it might help cheer me up because I am in a lot of pain right now. I sat for 7 hours in a chair whilst a man stuck his prick in me. Okay, millions and millions and millions and millions of times. Again, entirely my choice. I don't feel obliged to shower with gifts and super chats. I'm joking, obviously, but thank you so much for the donations so far. We are going to talk about Tau. Before we do that, if you haven't already, please make sure you hit all the magical YouTube buttons for me. Hit that like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the channel. We are actually over 22,500. Woo! It's taken me ages to get over there, but we're finally over 22,500. And hopefully we can keep climbing. Thank you so much for everybody who's chosen to subscribe to the channel. And hit that bell notification icon if you want to be notified every single time we go live or drop a new video. Right. Tau. Now. There's a few things we need to know about Tau and Tau players before we get going, right? First of all, they like to moan, especially if they don't just have an auto-win army.
And no downside rule. There are 2 May army rules that don't have downsides but are really strong looking at you Marines.
Okay. Oh, Munch is in here. Hey, Munch. Try to be munched again. So... Tau players typically, in my experience, like to have an army that they deploy, they don't move, they play off the table, and they win, right? That's it. That's Tau armies, okay? That's what I'm used to, okay? So, when their rules came out in 9th edition, they were fucking bonkers good, and they still complained, right? So, you need to be aware, before we get started, that Tau players are likely to complain about any change of rules, no matter what happens, all right? People have already been saying they've been shafted. Nonsense. You've seen 5% of the rules. You have no idea whether they do or have or haven't been shafted. We haven't seen Riptides. We haven't seen Crisis Suits. We haven't seen all the stratagems. We haven't seen anything else they can do. Just that. Okay? But the other thing I want to remind you of is the fact that Games Workshop made the statements, simplified, not simple. And if ever there was a truer word spoken, not simple, it's in this particular review. We're going to have a look at it. Before we do that, we thank Arian for gifting 1, Stephen for gifting another 1, and then finally Big Bad John McCardle, who's just dropped in with a big 50. What a legend. What a legend. Is your mic in the right place? Yeah. You're happy? Okay. So Luce is here. Now, normally when we talk about 10th edition rules, she doesn't stick around for long. So we're going to do this for half an hour, okay? And then she's going to give me a ding, ding, ding. Time to talk about nonsense, right?
Should I go and get my ding, ding, ding?
I mean, you can get a ding, ding, ding. It might pierce people's ears. But then we're going to talk about nonsense. This is 40k After Dark. This is our chance as a community to hang out and talk about anything. But at the moment, we're just making sure we keep on top of these 10th edition rules, okay? Right. Beautiful. So if we're going to pull up these Tau rules right now, do that, do this, go into F11 and screen share. Thank you so much, John. I'll update the tracker soon with the additional 52 memberships. Oh, you actually have a ding, ding bell. I was unaware that you actually had a ding, ding bell.
So, this bell...
I'm also drinking cider chat to cheer me up.
We're ready to do a test ding.
Let's do a testing now, and Chat can tell if it's... You probably have to hold it in front of the... And then...
Well, I'll just do it here because it's pretty loud. Ready?
I think they're all going to hear that. Okay. So, faction-focused Tau Empire. Best reading voice on. I've got my cider. I'm wildly dehydrated after today. So I decided I'm going to rehydrate myself with cider tonight, okay? Because if I drank just neat mead right now, I'd be fucking all yours in about an hour.
Ooh. I don't know. Do I have the time and the energy for that? Probably not.
Oh, charming. The promise of progress, understanding and goodwill for all doesn't sound very Warhammer 40,000, but one group of plucky underdogs is trying to make it happen far to the galactic east. We might be selling them a little short. They're actually a quickly expanding confederation of alien species armed with rapid technological and tactical innovation, an ironclad devotion to the greater good, and some biggest guns in the galaxy. Luce, it's your job that every time I read a word that says the greater good, you go...
The greater good.
The greater good. Okay, yeah, it's the Tau Empire, and today we're looking at how the most fluid and flexible faction of the far future, except perhaps Tyranids, is adapting to the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. Overview. Working together towards a common goal, the greater good.
The greater good.
Is more than just a good idea in Tau society. It's the founding pillar of their entire philosophy. Accordingly, their new army rule incentivizes cooperation between squads, building a cohesive firing line that blows enemy armies apart with
Fish and Chips Friday. Fish of the day being Tau.
Thanks so much for the 15 Iron You Hero. Their new army rule incentivizes cooperation between squads, building a cohesive firing line that blows enemy armies apart with guided fusillades of firepower while patiently waiting for the opportune moment to surge forwards. Marklights have been a signature tool of the Tau Empire army since the earliest days, allowing your units to support each other by tagging and tracing priority targets. This dynamic is back in the new edition with a new twist. It's now an army rule that allows almost any Tau Empire unit to pair up with an ally and guide their aim, all for the greater good.
The greater good.
Why haven't we done this before in the army rules previews? This is a perfect use of you. Okay, actually, whilst I've got you here,
yeah.
I have said repeatedly the 10th edition is an edition that perhaps you could learn.
Okay.
Because they've made it all simpler.
Have they?
Easier to understand.
Is it?
Listen to this army rule, Luce. You'll like this one.
Do I need my whiteboard and pen?
So the Tau Empire army rule is called For the Greater Good.
The greater good.
Right, okay. Leslie Teller was fucking murdered. Yeah, exactly, Tony. Right. Just the one murderer, actually. If your army faction is Tau Empire, then in your shooting phase, units from your army can work in pairs to help each other target specific enemy units. When they do this, one unit is the observer unit and the other is the guided unit. The enemy unit that they are targeting is called the spotted unit.
Okay.
With me so far? Cool.
There's 3 people involved in this.
Yeah, there's a love triangle right
Menage
here.
a trois, okay.
Exactly. Each time you select this unit to shoot, if it is not an observer unit, it can use this ability. If it does, select one other friendly unit with this ability that is also eligible to shoot, excluding fortifications, battle shocked, and observer units, and until the end of the phase, this unit is considered a guided unit.
So now it's a 3-on-1.
And that friendly unit that you selected is considered as an observer unit. Then select one enemy unit that is visible to both your units to be their spotted unit. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in a guided unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit...
Also, GW should not have previewed a unit where most of the weapons are BS5+, even though its heavy weapons and basic pulse weapons are still BS4+. Tower BS5+, now GW has killed Tau.
John seems really angry. I'm going to let him be angry because he keeps super chatting and gifting memberships. You keep being angry, John. You can fund us tonight. You can cheer me up, at least with your anger. Right. Each time a model in the guided unit makes an attack that targets their spotted unit, improve the ballistic skill characteristic of that attack by 1, and if their observer unit has the marker-like keyword, the attack has the ignores cover ability. Each time a model in the guided unit makes an attack that does not target their spotted unit, worsen the ballistic skill characteristic of that attack by 1. Simple, right? Simple, you followed that?
So I'm still way back on the bit where I can invite a 4th person into the situation.
Oh
and
my
then
god.
Somehow the original observer and now the new friend/observer
this rule
have a chat and decide what they're going to do with the bad guy, and then the original first person then does something.
This rule is as simple as Joe is slim, honestly.
Oh,
This is right. Okay, it's been worded by a fucking lunatic. Okay.
It sounded a bit like Lego therapy for a bit, and then
basically you pick 2 of your Tau units that both can see the same enemy unit. You choose one of them to be the guided, one of them to be the observer, and the enemy unit you pick is the spotted. Okay, it's as simple as that. The guided unit gets +1 to hit and ignores cover if the observer has marker lights. The observer unit can also shoot as normal, but cannot be an observer unit for another unit, nor can it be a guided unit. It's as simple as that, chat. It's actually not that hard. They've just worded it really badly. So in practice, it's just genuinely not that. It's not that confusing. Okay, it's a little bit like when we first saw Genius of the Occult Crossfire in 9th edition. Looked really, really wordy. Played it on the table against Jake. He explained it to me. It was super easy, super simple. Okay. Honestly, it's not that hard. 2 units, 1 enemy unit. They both need to be able to see, right? They both need to be able to see. They both need to be eligible to shoot. One's the observer, one's the guided. Guided gets +1 ballistic skill unless he splits fire, then it's -1 ballistic skill. Simple as that.
What the flying F are you on about? Can we talk about units again?
The flying F are we on about? Okay, if this unit is a guided unit, this unit is an observer unit, both of those can then not be guided or observer units in the future. So each unit is one use only unless there is a special rule. So a guided unit then can't become an observer unit, an observer unit can't then become a guided unit. That's them done, you pick another pair. So with Tau armies, you're going to want even numbers of units. It's a triangle, it's not a hard rule. It's not a hard rule. Oh, she's going to read that out for us. It's not a hard rule, Mandy. You are 100% right. And Amy will interrupt me to say the same things. But they have worded it terribly, to be honest with you, right? It's super cool, it's super narrative, it's super thematic, and I love the concept of the rule. The concept of the rule is really cool for Tau, and I really like it. But it's been worded by a fucking moron, right? Garcy says, just think 2 Tau, 1 enemy, as 2 girls, 1 cup. Brilliant. Thanks, mate. Okay, I'm not going to forget that now.
I never actually saw that.
I love the fact that the next words from Games Workshop are, it's an elegant system. Is it?
Is it?
I mean, actually, the system is, again, the person who wrote it was drunk. You select an observer unit to support a guided unit in targeting a single enemy unit. The guided unit gets +1 ballistic skill when shooting that target, while the observer shoots as normal that phase. Even if the enemy knocks out your precious marker lights, you can still keep highlighting targets for destruction, but you'll want to bring a few along anyway, as observers with marker lights help their comrades ignore cover when shooting. I actually think cover is going to be a big deal.
It's a triangle. It's not a hard rule.
It's not a hard rule once you actually get your head around it. I actually think cover's going to be a massive deal in 10th edition, to be clear. Like, I think cover's going to be really, really important. Massive reduction in AP across the board. Cover now can benefit everything and it's +1 save. Cover's going to be a big deal, genuinely. So ignoring cover is important. So when you go, oh, it doesn't look that good. It doesn't look that good ignoring cover for 9th edition. It's actually pretty good for 10th, I think, okay? For the first Tau Empire detachment, we follow the way of the patient hunter, the favoured martial philosophy of Commander Shadowsun. Cao Yon rewards cunning commanders who can keep their army safe for as long as possible, baiting the opponent into a compromising position before hammering them with a furious barrage in the latter half of the game.
Sounds like another reason to not play Tau to me.
I mean, there's plenty already, right? So if we're going to have a detachment rule, which is Cao Yon, you can also guarantee that in the Codex there's another detachment rule called Montkar. Okay, so.
Wife is travelling, kids are out with friends, you have my undivided attention for once. Shot out of a cannon. Tau was my first army and released 2001, not ashamed to admit it. Fight me fuckers.
John, every Tau player should be ashamed to admit it. That's just a fact, okay? From the 3rd battle round onwards, all range weapon equipped by Tau Empire models from your army have the sustained hits 1 ability, so they get exploding hits on a critical hit roll, right? While a unit is guided, C for the greater good.
The greater good.
Weapons in that unit have the sustained hits 2 ability. On point tonight, it's good. I thought you might miss that one.
I was reading as well.
Were you?
I know.
Yeah. So basically, from battle round 3 onwards, all of your weapons get sustained hits 1. So on a critical hit roll, which typically will be a 6, but there are ways of modifying it, you gain an additional auto hit. If the unit's guided because of for the greater good,
the greater good,
you get sustained hits 2. So every time you roll a 6+ normally, because it's critical hit, which can be modified, you'll get 2 additional hits. Okay. Dedicated spotters have a new lease of life. Not only do Pathfinders all come with marker lights to aid guided units in blasting through cover, they can also act as an observer twice per turn with a target upload ability.
No luck simplifying them rules then? Have you ever killed your spotted unit, fired your pulse rifle in the air and gone, ah? Everyone and their mums is observing round end. The Hot Fuzz references are endless.
Oh, I fucking love Hot Fuzz references. That adds...
The greater good. Over to you, Loose.
Good. You should read Adam's one again, but in the Cornish accent.
That system is as elegant as Piles. Hugely narrative, but as elegant as Piles. P.S. Joe is a national treasure.
And which we must protect at all costs.
Which we must protect at all costs, exactly. Yeah. I will not stop until the cult of Liam Dempsey automatically, whenever anyone in the world says Joe is a national treasure, says who we must protect at all costs.
And it's with a very serious.
And it started happening, even at Great Hall Gathering, it started happening. If you say Joe's a national treasure, someone says who we must protect at all costs. We are creating our own cult. We are going to take on the Church of Scientology. The Church of the Great Hall. That's what we shall call it. A new cult's rising. Okay, Pathfinders. Okay, they've got 7-inch move, which is super cool. Toughness 3, which we expect. A 4-up save, which I think is better than they had before. 1 wound, leadership 7, objective control 1. They show us a bunch of their weapons. You are right, John. They didn't do a great job in showcasing a unit here, simply because it shows a lot of them being ballistic skill 5+, but that's because they're heavy. So don't forget, heavy weapons stand still. They get +1 to hit. They go to 4s, okay? Now, what's really elegant about the for the greater good rule...
The greater good.
...is it says you add 1 to their ballistic skill. So with the greater good...
The greater good.
No, you got to do it seriously.
Hold on. The greater good.
With that rule and heavy, you actually end up hitting on 3s with heavy weapons in your squads if you stay still. Okay, so that's super cool. Right. Anyway, the semi-automatic grenade launcher EMP. I like this as well. Anti-vehicle 4+ devastating wounds. If you roll a 4+ to wound vehicle, it does a single mortal wound. It's kind of cool, right? The rail rifle has devastating wounds as well. Again, a 6+ to wound, or a critical wound, I should say, will do flat 3 damage, and it's strength 10. It is 5+. Again, with their army rule and with staying still, they'll be hitting on 3+. So everyone's going, oh, they're fucking broken because they're wounding on 5. They're hitting on 5s. They're not. Stand still. Use your army ability. You hit on 3s. Shut up. Okay. However, you probably want this particular unit to be a observer unit and not a guided unit, which means you won't get the for the greater good ability. Which means you won't get the for the greater good ability.
Oh, the greater good.
All right, perfect. And the reason why you want that is because of the target uploaded special rule. Once per turn, when using the greater good ability...
The greater good.
You can,
how many times
honestly,
do they say it?
Honestly, you can select... I have chucked 2 in on purpose. You can select this unit to be an observer unit for a second time. When doing so, you can change which enemy unit is this unit's spotted unit. So they get to be... observers twice because they're pathfinders, which is super cool. They've got some cool war gear abilities. I actually think they've got a lot of play now, considering they all come as standard with what's it called? Pew pews. Marker lights. They've all got marker light as a keyword already. Look, they're just flat in the datasheet keywords. Even a minimally equipped squad of pathfinders can dramatically increase the efficiency of your bigger guns with a bit of careful positioning. But if you like to pack yours with all of the fanciest toys, you're also well catered for. Now, here is one of my biggest bones of contentions with Tau and their army rules and the way that they've operated for the longest time. Drones. Drones have always been a monumental pain in the arse that gamey fucking dickheads use in ways to just circumvent actual rules and just kind of get shitty advantages, and they just create so many feels bads. This, in me personally, this looks better. This looks better. Eagle-eyed Earthcast engineers will notice that the special grav inhibitor drones, pulse accelerator drones, and recon drones are listed as war gear abilities rather than models in their own right. That's due to a new approach to drones across the board. Instead of individual models, all drones are treated as equipment on a model's datasheet, granting new weapons or abilities directly to their unit. This is the way it should have always been. 100% the way it should have always been. Guardian drone. Each time a model makes a ranged attack that targets the bearer's unit, subtract 1 from the rune roll.
Are we sure the pluses stack? I was wondering that because that would let railguns and some other things hit on 2+, which feels not right. I think 10th is keeping that max plus !/1 caps.
Hang on.
My wife is joking since a long time that we are a cult, especially since the WhatsApp group chat. We might as well make it official. We need a lodge coin.
I was in the process of making lodge coins, Adrian, for Thanes. However, the whole DZ thing hit and I had to pause everything I was buying at the time. But in the future, right, John. So this is like if you look at indirect now, this is how this works, okay? The current restrictions on +1, -1 caps is to hit rolls and wound rolls, okay? For the greater good ability...
The greater good.
The greater good ability impacts directly the ballistic skill characteristic. So your ballistic skill characteristic being improved by 1 goes from 5+ to 4+. Then you add +1 to hit to your dice roll for heavy weapons that stay still. It's exactly how it works now. There is the only way you can ever get +2 or -2 is if 1 is a negative weapon skill or ballistic skill modifier and 1 is a + or negative dice roll. So yes, John, I am currently 100% sure that they will in fact stack. Okay, oh, my mouse went a bit mad then. I'm 100% sure that they'll stack. So you can, as we'll look like in just a moment, potentially get what you're talking about to happen. Okay, anyway, gun drones. If you give your unit a gun drone, the bearer is equipped with the following range weapon: twin pulse carbine, 20-inch range, 2 attacks, ballistic skill 5+, strength 5, AP nothing 1 damage, assault twin linked, assault meaning you can advance and fire it, twin linked meaning you can reroll wounds. It does start with ballistic skill 5, but as we've just discussed, there is a way you can improve it to ballistic skill 4. Marker drone. The bearer's unit has the marker-like keyword and can act as an observer unit for another unit, even if it advances this turn. Super nice. Missile drone. The bearer is equipped with the following range weapon. Cool. And then shield drone. Oh my god, the things I've hated the most for the longest time. +1 a wound. Cool. Oh no, +1 to your wounds characteristic. Cool. Cool. 3D printers, lodge coins. No, guys. I'm making nice metal ones. Really, really nice metal ones. I don't want shitty 3D printed ones. Gone are the days of trying to fit a swarm of shield drones behind limited cover or stringing a line across the battlefield for some range-enhancing shenanigans. Now your drone models are just helpful tokens, and the dutiful Corvaisa aid their masters without obstructing them. I think it's really elegant, this, actually. I think I prefer it. I really genuinely think I prefer this. Weapon Spotlight. We've talked about it already, but the Hammerhead's railgun truly is the yardstick against which all other tower weapons are measured. The overall lethality of the game has been brought down, but this is still a monstrous anti-tank weapon that puts the fear of the God Emperor into anything with tracks, tyres, or tyrannic hooves. So it's heavy, which means it can get +1 to hit if it stays still, and it's a ballistic skill 4+ weapon, which means it would be hitting on 3s. But if you use this as a guided unit, because there's no restriction on it needed to be infantry, and you give it for the greater good ability...
Greater good!
It goes to ballistic skill 3+. Heavy staying still means it hits on 2s. So all those fucking Tau players who are throwing their yogurt all over the place, because it's hitting on 4s now. These, which will be on standard tanks, not even on the HQ version of the tank, can now hit on 2s. If you use them in the right way. Strength 20, AP -5, D6 + 6 damage that can also be done as mortal wounds because it's got devastating wounds. So there is the potential that on a 6 to wound, you could do 12 mortal wounds with this thing. Right? My only thing that I don't like about it, and Reckless has got it, is it's an anti-tank vehicle, an anti-tank weapon that doesn't have the anti-tank keywords. That seems to not make much sense to me. They do have devastating wounds. This is something where I would have liked to have seen anti-tank 5+. Like, I think that would have been reasonable for the railgun, because they've described it as an anti-tank weapon. Okay. Even if that isn't enough bang for your buck, the walking god of war that is a Storm Surge puts some extra pep in its pulse blast cannon to deal with tougher vehicles. Both heavy, both can get +1 to hit, both can benefit from the army rule. Okay, 24, 48-inch range, 2 attacks or 6 attacks depending. Strength 24, strength 10, -6, -2, 12 damage, 4 damage. Let's be honest, that's just a really good fucking weapon. Okay. It's the dispersed version. I kind of wish it had blast, but 6 + 1 for every unit is probably too much, right? But 6 attacks, ballistic skill 4+, strength 10, -2, 4 damage is nice, especially considering again you can get this to hitting on 2s. Remember, if you use the army ability and you stay still because it's heavy, you can get this hitting on 2s, right? Okay, Stratagem Spotlight. Fluid movement is a hallmark of Tau military strategy, which prizes survival initiative over holding useless ground. Infantry units are trained to retreat in the face of an overwhelming assault and will frequently embark upon a waiting transport to escape the threat of an incoming charge. 1 CP. When in your opponent's charge phase, Just after an enemy unit has declared a charge, not made the charge, declared a charge, you target a Tau Empire infantry unit from your army that was selected as the target of that charge and one friendly transport unit. You can embark within that transport. If it does, your opponent can select new targets for the charge. The restriction is that every Tau Empire infantry unit, or every model from the Tau Empire unit, must be within 3. So you can't have one within 3 and the whole unit gets in. If all are within 3, you can then get in. And there must be sufficient transport capacity to embark the entire unit. So if you've got a whole unit all within 3 of a transport and I decide to charge with my Khorne Berserkers, just get in the transport for a CP. You have to charge a tank now. As your average fire warrior is less than impressive in close combat, a hasty combat embarkation is an ideal way to keep them safe from harm while enemy blows bounce harmlessly off your devilfish holes. With this, a reckless foe can be forced to overextend into a killing field where they'll be met with a wall of firepower in perfect Kalyon style. And then we always read the word from the studio. The Tau believe in the greater good, supporting each other where the warriors of less enlightened factions might compete for glory, says David from the Warhammer Design Studio. We reflected this in their army role for the greater good.
Greater good!
Which, when selecting you to shoot, lets you choose another observer unit to guide them, improving the ballistic skill of the attacking unit. Ballistic skill, not hit roll.
Thank God that's not a drinking game.
This rule rewards you for setting up overlapping fields of fire, drawing your enemies into careful prepared kill boxes and launching perfectly timed attacks to obliterate your targets in a storm of solid shot, plasma and many, many missiles. The Kalyon detachment allows you to really lean into the aspects of Tau military doctrine, equipping you with ways to leave enemy units exposed and hit with devastating force later in the battle. Guided units become even stronger in this detachment, gaining sustained hits too from the 3rd battle round onwards. And then they talk about Black Library, and they tell us that the next faction focus will be Chaos Knights. So, that's Tau. I have seen the internet. I have seen people lose their mind all over the place about Tau. I don't think that's looking that bad to me personally. I think that's looking okay. Genuinely. I think it looks narrative. I think it's worded by a fucking moron. But I think it's narrative. I think it's cool. I think it's interesting. And the fact that you can get things like your hammerheads and your storm surges to hitting on 2s, which means I would assume crisis suits and riptides are going to be the same. Let's be honest, right? Now what's going to happen is you're going to have Pathfinder units and Fire Warrior units who are your spotters, and your big stuff like your crisis suits and your riptides and stuff like that are going to be your guided units, and they're going to be hitting with unbelievable strength firepower if you do things narratively for Tau. I honestly think they look really good, if I'm honest. I don't think they look that bad at all. I think they're a more fun narrative way of playing. Tau players are upset simply because, you mean I can't just deploy my army and delete my opponent? Oh. I might have to use some tactics and stuff. Oh, that's a bit shit. I think they're okay. I mean, it also doesn't help that I'm grumpy, so it might be that. Thank you so much, Andy. ADR Wargaming for the 5. Is it a bit bad? Is it bad that my reaction to Tau player complaints reference drones was get wrecked, scrub? I mean, I've hated fucking drones for so long, ads. It's one of the reasons. It's one of the main reason, if not the main reason, that I haven't wanted to play Tau in the whole of fucking 9th edition, is because of drone nonsense. It's not just 9th where there's been drone nonsense. I actually really think this is a much more elegant way of incorporating drones. Shield drones give you extra wound isn't maybe the best. Shield drones perhaps needed to give you like a feel no pain or something, or maybe an invulnerable save.
Now I need to shut up.
But I mean, you've delayed us by saying the greater good for 5 minutes.
You told me to.
But I still think this is a much more elegant way of implementing drones, right?
How many times did they put that in there?
What's that?
The greater good.
Well, I think I added 2, so quite a lot actually.
Yeah, if you only added 2, that's quite a lot. That must be like a pretty boring read.
And Ads has nailed it already, right? Hear me out. Wait until we see the full points and indexes and take a chill pill. Stop worrying. So I had someone message me straight away and be like, "They're just fucking terrible. They've got Tau players have now got a reason to moan." I'm like, well, you haven't. You've seen 5% of the rules. You've seen 5, like I say, on every single faction, and I make a comment on each of these factions. Knights look really good, right? And I see Space Marine rerolls look really good, but we don't actually know how they're going to play until we get this shit on the tabletop. Tau could still be incredibly good as a cohesive force, right? Is Luce operating a micro from the mid-70s back there?
I've just read that.
That's her bell, so I stopped talking about ton of stuff.
This is my bell, and I got it because James was really struggling with things like prepositions. So I said, Here's your bell. I'm going to read a children's story, and when you think you hear a preposition, ding the bell, and it worked. Because he's not allowed to ding it if it's not a preposition.
Michael Cody, thank you for the 2. Lou saying greater good makes my week better. True. Sheep Avenger, no longer allocating self-inflicted wounds to drones is a huge win. Absolutely. It should mean that whatever hazardous does will affect the user. Absolutely. Andy, thank you for the gifted. I need to add some gifteds actually to the tracker. Thank you so much though. Elijah gifted 1. Stephen gifted 1. Aaron gifted 1. John McCardle gifted 50. 1, 2, 3, 4. So 54. So the total 54 to 17 is more than that. We reversed the numbers. We had 54 to 17. 71. There we go.
What?
17 plus 54.
Oh, okay. I thought
71.
For some reason I thought you meant like reverse them as in taking them off. Like people had left us. Don't do that.
When John dropped the 50, did we manage to get Munch? Because I saw him in chat. Did we manage to get him or not? Or is he still waiting? I'm unimpressed as a tower player, 5 out of 10. A big problem is that heavy incentivized standing still while tower is an army that wants to move, preferably away from the enemy. True, that is true. But hear me out. With their faction ability, you can still move most things to a 3+ anyway, which is where even Space Marines are. So the only reason why a heavy incentivizes you is if A, you don't use your army ability, or 2, you really want to hit on that 2+. And hitting on 2+ isn't incredibly common, right? From what we've seen, Reckless. So what you need to remember is, if everything's ballistic skill 4+, and you use them as a guided unit, you're hitting on 3+ like Space Marine units anyway. So it only incentivizes that standing still if you really want to hit on that 2+, which is probably going to be those moments where you're like, I need to make this hit. Again, I think it makes it more narrative.
I don't think my bell works, chat, because he still chops in on about 40.
Lewis, thank you for the gifted. You're a legend. I appreciate you. Straight after I've updated my fucking tracker, I have to update another one. 1372.
I know what I'll do. I will go and ask a bell ringer in the local church and just say at 10 o'clock on a Friday, if I put my microphone out the window, can you go for it on that bell?
Well, someone who I think was, where is it? I think it was our friend Mr. Rambo. If Luce did everything near masks, he'd always be walking around with a smile on his face.
True.
Yeah, exactly. DJ, thank you for the 5 for the towel. The new greater good.
Greater good.
Rules is interesting, but kind of weird how guided units lose a BS for shooting at a different unit that isn't mark-lighted. I mean, I think it's cool, a narrative. Martin, thank you for the 2. You didn't put anything in, though. You just said, here's 2. Munch is still grey. Munch is Eldar dodging our gifts, he is. This is the thing. You've missed this week because you've not been on streams. So Munch did have a gifted membership a while ago.
Okay.
He then, when his gifted membership ran out, became a member all by himself.
Amazing.
And then he had to drop his membership because of circumstances, which we never judge anyone for.
Absolutely.
And we thank anyone for their support, even if it's just for a month, right? So now he's trying to get another gifted membership. And he has been a gifted member before. And we've double-checked and triple-checked. And he most definitely has gifted memberships turned on. And no fucker can get him.
Oh.
No one can snipe him. Right?
Am I allowed to gift? Can I do that?
No, please don't. Please don't spend my money
on me.
To me, just to give YouTube and the taxman money. Please don't do that.
Well,
please
don't
do that.
To stay in the machine as well.
No, because if you gift a membership at £5, YouTube gets 30% straight away. Then the taxman takes money off me as well.
Why you got to pay your tax?
Just don't gift it to keep it in your bank. It's worth more to us that way.
I want to see if I can do it. How do you? What do you press to gift? What do you do?
No, you're not gifting.
I'm just going to start taking
Please don't spend my money on gifting to me.
I think as soon as it's in my account, it's my money. Thank you very much.
This is the world I live in, chat.
What's this button do here?
How are we all anyway? So that's Tau in a nutshell.
There it is.
If you really want to let me know what you think about it in detail, drop a comment on the video once we've finished. Okay, otherwise we can talk about real world things now. How's everyone today? Do you know what? I actually had a slightly terrifying drive to Birmingham this morning.
Oh, really?
I think I was nearly crashed into 4 times.
No, don't tell me stuff like this. I really hate... Do you go on the M25?
No, M25.
Loose. Describe the Death Guard.
60 seconds, go!
The Death Guard are an elite group of athletes who had to get in the top 1% of pie eating without a spoon, and they're not allowed to scoop their hair out their face, so it's all in there. They can't use conditioner. They all have to go for it, and it's the first one to clear everything and the pie and do the washing up and then sit back down.
What?
That's the death guard.
What's that got to do with Death Guard?
I don't know.
I thought you might
do
at
these
least
things to me, and I don't know.
I thought you might at least take inference from its name.
I don't know. See what I mean? Under test circumstances, I can't do it.
I'm not.
Anyway, 5 memberships.
No, stop it. Don't do it. Ari, thank you for the gifted membership. Jonathan De Silva, thank you for the gifted. Garcia, thank you for the gifted. Nordos, thank you for the gifted. Martin, thank you for the 5. You already did your first ever super chat for 2, and then you've super chat again. You could just put a comment in. I'm interested. What is your mead of choice? Viking's Blood by the Lancashire Mead Company. It's just flat the best stuff in the world ever. Right? It's just a fact. Rambo, thank you for the 2. The missus said she'll learn 10th edition. Are you still thinking about learning 10th edition?
Well, the thing is,
1, 2, 3,
it's my experience that Warhammer tends to attract quite clever people. So immediately, half of us can't play it because we just do not have the capacity after a full working day, whether you're a housewife or a lawyer or something. There are just a different breed of people that can do the working day and then still have a tank of capacity left over to play something like 40k. So when they say we've simplified it, have they actually simplified it so that new people can come in, still having done their typical day, and then have capacity for a game this complex?
So I think they have. What do you think, chat? You tell me. What do you think? I think they have done that. And I think to start with, if I'm honest with you, I think to start with, it's still gonna look daunting because it's 40k. But I actually don't think it's anywhere near as frightening as the current edition, in my personal opinion. I think it's much easier to pick up, if I'm honest. Mark says, I don't know, there's a lot of 40k players that can't read. Dave, thank you for the 2. That's Cumbrians, Lucy says. I don't know what he's referring to. I think he's on about when you explain Death Guard in 60 seconds.
The pie eating contest.
Yeah. FYI, much like, I shouldn't say this actually, much like 40k Medic, if you super chat enough that Amy reads it out and just gives Luce a topic for, which is $10 by the way, and gives Luce a topic for a short, you get live Luce shorts.
God, no, because I don't have any context.
We were going to do actual pre-recorded shorts, so I was like, it's actually better if chat just live throws something at her.
God,
it's just better, then we can just clip it later, right? Sheep Avenger, thank you for the 5. You're amazing. What legend. Hero of the Lions Gate, thank you for the 1. Look at you people. 6 of the finest straight away. Thank you so much, beautiful humans. That goes up to 8-2. If anyone gets us over the required amount of 1469, they get to pick the new target for the rest of just the month, okay? Thank you so much, Sheep Avenger. You're a legend. ADR, thank you for the 5. The only sport the Death Guard are involved in is competitive diarrhea.
It's always a close one. It's a photo finish.
Okay, let's see how close you were to the Death Guard. So the Death Guard actually are a heretical Space Marine Legion.
What's heretical mean?
So they turned against the Emperor during the Horus Heresy and followed the traitorous Warmaster Horus.
Okay.
And they pledged their allegiance to the Nurgle, to the Chaos God of Nurgle, which is the god of disease and decay.
Oh.
So now they're bloated, pestilential, disgusting, slow-moving Space Marines with incredible resilience where you can blow chunks off of them and they just keep coming at you. And they're all pustuled and diseased and vomiting and etc. And they spread a plague everywhere they go.
Are they antibiotic resistant?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What they don't do is have pie-eating contests.
No, I probably wouldn't want a diseased person touching my pies.
Start with the basics loose and then slowly work in more rules.
They also don't really need to move their hair out their faces.
Probably all falling out.
Their faces are now just like skin falling off and shit and big spots and things.
The friends I have who notice their immune system take a dive, things like your hair falls out. So yeah, that's probably gone.
Tony, thank you for the 2. Rumour is there's a new lieutenant coming. Lieutenant P.I. Staker.
What?
It's another Hot Fuzz reference, Liz.
Oh, sorry.
Who's that? Who's calling, sorry? P.I. Staker? Piss Taker, yes, very funny.
Oh.
He does that bit, goes... And that's when he gets called to the swans.
See, I would
sorry,
say
Mr. Staker.
I would say that as a Mr. P.I. Staker, because I would I just ruined all the jokes. I ruined them all.
That guy is definitely not vaccinated. But no 5+. They could be eating meat pie. Do you like eating meat pie?
Yeah, I like a meat pie, and that's not a euphemism. I actually like a meat pie because I'm not a vegetarian.
Oh, amazing. That sounds like my town, he says. Producing lots of antibodies. They spread disease and plague wherever they go.
Is it like, can you not rest your arm?
No, because it's all sticky.
Man.
Sticky. If any of you have ever been tattooed, right, and I'm aware there'll be people in chat who aren't tattooed, it's one of the strangest experiences ever. And I struggle to explain this to people without them going, you're fucking strange. But you go there, you sit in a chair for today was about 7 hours in a chair, right, with a man or a woman, obviously, who has, or a fucking, whatever, if they want to identify as a washing machine, who has a vibrating needle, which is either 1 to, sometimes you can put like 40 needles at once, vibrating, if they've got a big shader, right, who then puts that thing on your skin with ink in it, and basically just continuously stabs you. He essentially causes a wound in your arm, but does it in an artistic way, so we have to pay them more money. Okay? You end up with blood everywhere, and he's wiping blood away, and after like the first 15 minutes is relatively painful because you go, oh fuck, that hurts. Then you get into it and it's fine. After about 3 or 4 hours, it just starts to hurt. And eventually, especially when it comes to doing the white part, where he's then tattooing over skin that he tattooed like 2 hours ago.
Oh, no.
So he's already wounded it. It's already started to close up and he's going back in with a needle. It's fucking horrible, quite honestly. It's not a very nice experience. You sit there quite comfortable for the first few hours thinking, I'm an hard man, I can take this. I mean, look at my arms, I'm covered in them. I obviously can. But eventually you get there whilst you're sweating going, why am I doing this? Why is this a good idea? And I'm fucking paying the prick for the fucking privilege as well. Hundreds of pounds, right? Now, I'm very, very lucky that I know this guy through 40k, so it's not that bad price-wise. Anyway, then I drive home, and then for the next 4 to 5 days minimum, I have to routinely throughout the day wash it with warm soapy water, clean off everything, and once I've done that, Bepanthen, I don't know if any of you've got kids, Bepanthen is essentially a nappy cream, right?
We didn't use it, did we?
No, and what it is, all this shine that you can see on my arm, if you can see the shine, is Bepanthen, and you cover your whole tattoo on Bepanthen. And what it does is it creates as like a fake skin, essentially.
Yeah.
And it helps keep your tattoo moisturised, and it lets you heal, essentially. And it helps you the healing process, because if you didn't put it on, it dries up and the skin starts cracking and it can go flaky. Then you can get scabs. If you get scabs, that you have to really manage scabs. And the temptation to pick scabs, you've seen me, the temptation to pick scabs is really high. And if you pick a scab off, you can completely fuck the tattoo, right? Anyway, so you put that stuff on, and once you put that stuff on, you then end up with what can only be described as a slimy arm. That I don't want to put anywhere. If I rest it on my leather chair, I get a sheen on my sleeves. If I put it on the desk, so I end up having to just walk like this. Right? You do that for 5 days, you get armache, you bump into things, it fucking hurts. You get fucking horrible greasy fucking bed sheets. It's fucking awful. And then once you finish that, and it starts peeling, and you can finally just start putting moisturiser on it, it then becomes not so bad, but a bit sensitive. And then once you finish that process, you know what you think? You think, I'm going to book another one. I don't understand. But I'm in that circle. I'm in that loop now. I'm in that loop of needle therapy. Boat Boy, naughty bastard, thank you for the 50. Thank you so much for the 50. You're amazing. That is an incredible amount to gift us. Thank you. Mark Bright also became a member all by himself at Jarl tier as well. I haven't set up the Jarl's giveaway actually this month yet. I need to do that. Thank you so much. You're a hero. I'm going to add Boat Boys in now as well. What a fucking legend.
The only prolonged pain I've ever known was childbirth, and there are some women who are absolutely addicted to having babies. I can't understand it. People say you forget the pain. I haven't. I know there's no other pain like it. And for anyone who's had a baby in chat, contractions and period pains are the same thing. It's the same muscles, because obviously your uterus is shedding, etc. So if you have particularly bad period pains, it's a contraction, like a mild contraction. That pain visits you every month, but actually pushing a baby out, I know exactly what that pain is. I have not forgotten it. I don't think I'll ever forget it. So when women say they're addicted to having babies, it must be in the same kind of...
Maybe.
Because there's no other pain like it.
I think so. It's weird. There is There is. It's fucking strange to say this, but there's something about it.
There must be.
But I also fucking love the artwork that I then become a walking art piece, and I really like that.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of that because this is art that I've got pieces of art on my arm. Most tattooists.
Question for you both. Do you think 40k or wargaming in general is accessible for girls? Do you think the amount of female players have increased, and how can we encourage more to join in?
I promise you I'll get to this super chat. I'm going to finish what I'm saying first. And this one.
My longest session was 6 hours. I describe it to others as a hot cat scratch. Chest, arms and back covered in Nordic designs.
See, I'm already looking at back pieces, chest pieces, legs, etc. The way, so most tattoo artists worth their salt will never duplicate a design.
Oh, okay.
They'll only ever do each design once.
Like, I guess, yeah. Like
which means my arms, you won't see anywhere else.
Well, we might see variations because maybe your tattooist has gone, I quite like this.
You 100% might see variations. There's plenty of World War sleeves out there, but you won't see this exact sleeve anywhere else, ever. You just won't. And for reference, team, right, I don't know if I can actually show it on this camera today, but he put a tank on. He made a Firefly today. That was an incredible amount of work that he did. I also asked him to do the grenade that you've seen on my underarm that's been unfinished for ages. Fucker, he's still unfinished. Unbelievable, honestly, unbelievable. Getting tattooed equals seeking out a sadist bastard that can draw in blood, and somehow this makes us happy when it doesn't hurt as hell. Yeah, exactly. Right, you want another one? I do, absolutely. Right, Ross, do we think 40k is more accessible for... Where's it gone? Stop doing it, mouse. Stop flicking through things too quickly. I have to scroll slowly. Do we think wargaming is, in general, is accessible for girls? 40k all wargaming is accessible for girls. Do you think the amount of female players have increased, and how can we encourage more? So, I do think the amount of female players have increased in the hobby. I think it is growing. I don't think it's as growing as perhaps most of us would like, because... But that's not just for females. I just mean in general, more players is better for everybody, right? What do you think? Do you think 40k and wargaming is accessible for females?
That's a very layered question.
It is very layered, 100%.
Because, so I have a training background in dance.
Yep.
And I tried to run my own dance class for mums, specifically for mums, because the mother guilt of leaving the house is immense. And the hardest thing was getting the mums out the house. And it's because I didn't realise how layered it is to get a woman in a different building to do something for herself.
Yeah.
So I'm not even sure this is a 40k specific question. I think women, the women in my life are terrible at doing something for themselves. So there's so many things. Are the toilets okay? It's interesting that you go down that route, because I go down the route of, for me personally, I go down the route of looking in things like, so that's one side of the accessibility, like tempting women away from what some women would consider perhaps womanly duties. And I'm aware that's a controversial thing to say for some people, but I get it. Mother guilt's a thing that I don't think most men feel the same level of guilt. I just don't think they do, okay? Anyway, so that's one way you go down. I go down the other way straight away, and I think about local gaming clubs, I think about local GWs, I think about Facebook pages, etc. And I think about how heavily male-dominated they are. Which is fine, because if you're trying to introduce females into the hobby, what you're saying is, we know the space is male-dominated. Okay, fine. Okay, no arguments there at all. But then we also have in the hobby world, in my personal opinion, and this isn't just an issue for females in general, to be fair, Ross, this is just an issue that exists, is when you go into certain spaces, whether that's a Discord server, a Facebook group, a local gaming store, or whatever, where you end up with know-it-all cunts who just have to force their fucking opinion about the rules down your throat, and they become very kind of oppressive in the way in which they approach the hobby, and that can scare flat new players off in general. So if you've managed to tempt that young woman out of the house who might have kids at home, and then she walks into a local gaming store where it's majority men, probably going to feel a little bit intimidated to start with, and then you get a know-it-all bastard telling you, oh, you've done that wrong, and you picked that wrong unit, and you can't build that way, and you painted that the wrong colour. They're going to go, fuck this. So I think we could do more accessibility-wise. Unfortunately, so you said earlier that
wargaming or Warhammer 40k typically attracts intelligent people. But I also would go as far as say that there is other groups of people that wargaming typically attracts. And some of those people are people that don't typically have incredible social skills, okay? And I'm not saying that this is something that should be seen necessarily as a negative, but it does mean that where any new person, male or female, kids, whatever, go into that space and that individual doesn't have great social skills, they could have an interaction between them because possibly both people don't have great social skills that then puts that person off straight away. First impressions are huge, for example. And I've been to gaming clubs where an individual will walk in and it's kind of oppressive and a bit, wow, okay, all right, so I've chosen to paint this army blue instead of green. So fucking what? It's my army. You can't do that. That's wrong because of the law. Like,
I think that aspect of it is kind of neither here nor there, because having tiny humans, there will be an absolute inquiry into why you changed the shoelaces on their shoes. So having somebody be that picky, it does turn into water off a duck's back, because you have it every day. If something's not just so, you're definitely going to hear about it.
Yeah.
But it is the hot. I literally cannot explain the mother guilt. It is biblical. And you can have all the men in your life go, get out the house, go for a run, go to the pub, go and do something, piss off, everyone will be fine, get out.
I've been pushing you to piss off for ages.
It's this incredible thing of, what if one of them falls down the stairs and I wasn't there? They might have always fallen down the stairs that night, and at some point you need to go and use the toilet. They might fall down the stairs then. And it's just that whole, I left them and something might happen. Yeah. It's horrible.
I think Ross, to be fair, I think it's getting better. I think there is improvements out there. I think it's becoming slightly more mainstream. We had this discussion recently. I don't know if it's actually mainstream, but I think it's becoming more mainstream. So the player base is expanding. The diversity of players is expanding. And when a player base diversification happens, it then attracts more people from the diverse groups that have started to be involved, whether that be females or whatever. So I think it's growing slowly. Perhaps not at the rate that some people would like. I think it is improving. 100% think it is improving.
I think the thing that would possibly push me back through the door to come home and say I'm never leaving again is if, not that somebody said you've painted the orcs wrong or you don't know your rules, it would just be the second I get the impression that I'm a burden onto somebody else because I don't know it as well as they do.
And that's another thing, right? You actually finally pluck up the courage to step to a table and play your first ever game of 40k. And the person treats you like you're fucking stupid, but it's your first ever game. And this, again, like, this is the thing. If I'm honest with you, if I'm completely honest with you, Ross, this is no longer, we're not talking about a female problem. We're just talking about a problem in general, whereby if you walk up to the table playing your first ever game of 40k and the other player treats you like you're fucking stupid or completely crushes you in 2 turns because he knows how to play the game and you don't, he doesn't think, I'll give this guy a chance, I'll teach him the rules. I was at a tournament a long time ago now, over a year ago, I reckon. I was at a 40k tournament, it was a GT, and I came up against a player in round 3, and she was at her first ever tournament, and I played her in round 3, and I played her in her 3rd ever game of Warhammer 40k. Okay? Oh. And she was playing knights. Okay, so it's not a lot of models, not a lot of rules, just playing knights. This was before the 9th edition Knights Codex, so much more simpler. And I worked out within the first, I think, 20 minutes, if that she didn't really know what she was doing. Okay? And I'd looked at what she'd done so far. She'd had 2 losses. They were quite heavy losses. So what I did at that point, I didn't use stratagems. I didn't use my faction rules. I didn't use anything fancy. I didn't use anything special. I didn't use my relic. I didn't use my warlord trait. But what we did is we spent 5 turns that game teaching her the very basic mechanics, which 3 games in, she'd played 2 other people by this point. 3 games in, she didn't know the basic mechanics really. Mm-hmm. So I was like, let's focus on how you move and moving and where you find what you need, how you shoot and shooting and where you find what you need, how you fight, okay? And yes, I still beat her, but it wasn't a heavy beating. I didn't table her in 2 turns. She'd been tabled in 2 turns one of the games as well. A player must have gone, she doesn't know what she's doing, so I'm going to fucking flatten her. I'm like, but then she might walk away from that event and go, I don't ever want to go back again. If she'd have 5 games like that, you can guarantee she's going to go, I don't want to play 40k again.
So I think YouTube would massively help. Because if I wanted to surprise you and I wanted to say to Joe, I need to learn 40k. I want to play Liam at 40k. Complete surprise for Father's Day. I'm having a match of 40k with him. Joe, you need to teach me. it helps, number one, that I already know Joe. He's an actual human being, and I know what his daughter's name is, and I know what his partner's name is, and I know him. So if I go, I'm getting a bit overwhelmed, Joe, I might cry because this is a bit much. I've had a really shit day with the boys, and I can't do it today. He's going to be like, it's fine, no problem, let's get the kettle on. So I can go all over YouTube, find my favourite content creator, and just keep rewatching and kind of visually learning. If YouTube wasn't here, I am definitely walking into a room of people who I have no idea about anything. One Shot Will also said, and I think he's right, I think having female role models on YouTube social media, example Louise Sugden, is helping. It is helping 100%, and there seems to be more of them out there now as well, which is obviously positive. But there you go. I think we probably have answered Ross's question on the whole. I think the accessibility problem is going away slowly. I think we are seeing an increase in women in the hobby, which I think is very, very positive. People like Louise on things like Instagram, Warhammer Girl, Helena, etc. Sorry, she doesn't like it when I use her name. Silver Paints, people like that on Instagram, big followings who have just come into the hobby in the last year and exploded, is really positive because women are going, there are girls who can paint and who can do it, which is really positive. The nice thing about 40k as well is you can just do the building and painting, and you can do that at home. So if you have enormous mother guilt, you don't need to leave yet. You can build up to it. And then maybe invite someone in for a game, and then maybe curiosity will get the better of you, and you'll think, no, I am leaving. I am going to go. And hubby can hold the fort for a bajillion hours while I play. Yeah. And then I can come back home and have something different to say at the dinner table. And it's not just the same routine of this happened and that happened. I can actually now talk about something new. Yeah. And leaving the house, you might only do that once, and then that's you completely taxed for the next 6 months because you left the house. But at least you did. Yeah, yeah. At least you got out and did something. You got out. But the other layered aspects of when I was trying to coax mums out of their houses just to come and be with me for an hour, let's just pull some shapes on a dance floor and we'll put it into a routine. There was so much feedback, which I was so grateful for. Are the toilets okay? And I mean, are the toilets okay? It's not just a hole in the ground from medieval Britain. That's all you need. Is it actually an okay toilet? Or a bush. The car park. Am I walking to my car in the pitch dark, or is it a lit walkway? Because we have to think about these things. So do I when I've got a face like this. Shut up. There's so many layered things to getting mums, women out the house. It's insane, and nobody can cater to all of it. So it's a huge compromise with the mother guilt. Yes, it's put in chat. If only Kate McCann had mum's guilt. Nordic Gaming, thank you for the 10. My longest session tattooing was 6 hours. I describe it to others as a hot cat scratch. Chest, arms and back covered in Nordic designs. I bet they look amazing. Royal Purple, thank you for the 5. Got my sleeves done too. Getting tattooed over my collar, funny bone, made me want to cry. The funny bone isn't nice, that's right. Big ouchie. What have you done? We've shown that off already, so I'm not going to keep showing you. John Mercado comes in with a big 50, which took us over the target. I'll add it in just a moment, Mr. Mercado. Means you have to pick us a new title for May, right? And don't do what you normally do, pick a new title and then beat it, because that's silly, right? But thank you so much for the 50. Sausage. Andy Bird, thank you for the gifted membership as well. So I've got to add 51 to 1435. That should be easy. Neil, thank you for the 5. You're a legend. Come for the 40k. Stay for the mental scarring from hearing Luce talk about childbirth. Woo! Woo! Hey, and thank you for Aran. Aran, I guess that's right. Thank you for upgrading to Jarl. You're a hero. Carp Hunter, welcome to Hesea tier. Welcome, mate. That's fine. See, so I shout it in Viking land, right? You should really eat your greens if it's that tough to. That's my normal morning routine. Get a bit of spinach in your diet. So 435 plus 52 is 8. 51 is 8, 6. That's 5, 6, 8, 6. Which means we smashed the new monthly target. If you're still there, Mr. the John Mercado, I need a new target now, right? A new target. This might be our best month ever for gifted memberships. Thank you, everybody. You're incredible, right? Tell every grey name to leave except Munch and then snipe him. It doesn't matter, Lord. You don't. Just imagine that. Can you all step out the room except for Munch? You don't even have to be watching the stream to be gifted a membership. The amount of times I've been sat here and it says you've been gifted a membership to Valrak, and I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. That's just like when you get called to the principal's office and there's a group of you, and then it's, no, you're staying. The rest of you can leave. Yeah. My daughter asked more questions about it than my son's, and he's even started painting her, and has even started painting her own models. Nice bonding time. That sounds amazing, Asbe.
You can't blame them at a tournament, though. No, so Gooseneck Gestapo, I get it. You can't blame them at a tournament for just winning. But if you, like... I knew I was going to beat this person, even without fucking, like, absolutely destroying her in 2 turns and giving her no room to even play the game. A good player will still know they're going to win that and get maximum points and at least help teach the person the game. And I got max points that I could get, you know? So it's not... I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm wrong. But I feel like if you come across that kind of... As me as an experienced player, I come across that kind of person at a tournament, I'm not just going to pull their pants down. I'm going to give them the best possible interaction that they can have, the best possible learning experience they can have. I'm still going to win. I'm at a tournament. I still want to win. I'm still going to do that. But, you know, I think there's ways you can do it. And I think when you come across a new player... And I guess you are right. You don't necessarily go to tournaments to learn the game. But certainly, like, we were building tournaments... We have been building tournaments where we actively welcome new people to come and learn the game or learn to play and hang out at our events and not be overwhelmed by chess clocks and not be overwhelmed by timings and not be overwhelmed by all this kind of stuff, right?
God, I already know if I was a player, the clock would, it would pull all my focus onto that clock. I couldn't do a chess clocked game.
Oh, Rambo said his missus has said she's going to learn 10th edition as well. And he says,
nice.
next Great Hall Gathering, so we have a Luce versus Lizzie girls match.
Oh, Christ.
Streamed to the masses.
No. No. No way.
Oh, brilliant. What do you think about trying to run World Eaters with no Angron? I think it's the strongest at the moment, actually. Avocado and 8-bound. I really don't like using the strong stuff that new release push you to buy. I mean, that's Avocado and 8-bound, I think, is a stronger build for me, personally. I forgot. What if they unsub, though? It's Vex. I've worked fucking hard to try and get over 22,500. I'm not going to suddenly tell all the people, all the grey names out there, unsub. It's just so that we can snipe Munch. Please remember to resub in a week. We're not going to do that, Vex, okay? I appreciate your dedication to sniping Munch massively. You're all amazing for trying so hard. We got 299 people in chat. That means we could have 299 attempts at sniping him, you know. But I don't think it's going to happen. I said this to you last night. Stop trying to snipe Munch, all right? I also noticed that John McArdle, when Boatboy dropped 50, John McArdle went, oh, trying to show off, are you? And then just dropped another 50. Like, it's not a competition, people. You can gift the same amount, okay? You don't have to beat each other. You don't have to... Although John, has he give us a new total yet? He hasn't, has he? I told Mandy the other night, and she was worried. I didn't tell John. He was an answer in one of our quiz questions.
Was he?
Yeah, so we asked, when we did the Great Hall Gathering, now when we do Great Hall Gatherings, I put together a 40k pub quiz, which normally I would sit here and write most of the questions on my own. This time, Joe, because he wasn't involved, actually he wrote most of the questions on his own and sent them across, and I just added a few in. One of the questions, so it was the Big Fat Joe quiz, so that he could still be involved. Actually came down to a tiebreaker, and the winning tie-breaking question was the person who got the closest to Joe's actual birthday.
Yeah.
Because we had 2 tiebreakers. The first tiebreaker they tiebreaked on. I was like, fucking hell, this isn't going well. Right? How do these people know so much about the fucking channel? Apparently they do in fact watch it. So then the second one was what's the closest to Joe's birthday? Anyway, so we did the Big Fat Joe quiz, and one of his questions was, on the channel, which of the audience members are known as Mummy and Daddy?
Oh, Mandy and John.
Yeah, it was one of the only questions that every single table just got right, and I was like, oh, okay, they're infamous in their own right now. We're making audience members famous. Amazing. David, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. You're a hero. Warmaster Will for the 1. Gunner for the 1. Did anyone get munched? Let me have a look. Forge Father Rocks. Alex Bagbutt. Great name. Hogan Hammer. Bryce. World York. DC. Nope, so far not. Sister Marcy Gifts. Nope, another one that happened. 5, 6, 7, 8 more. 8 more. John, I need a new number. We've got too many believe in Munch, says Boat Boy. It's not happening. Another 5, 6, 7, 8. Another 8. I got to do maths with this shit, you lot. I fucking hate it. It's worse when someone comes in with like 20 or 50, because I'm like, now I've got to add that to, like, it's 1494 now, and someone will come in with 20, then someone will drop 1, someone will drop 1, someone will drop 5. I'm like, I've got 27 to add to 94. It's a fucking problem for me then when I'm doing it live drinking cider. Evening Talk, how are you? Wizard Badger says, got my missus into the hobby 15 years ago. In that time, she's built up 10,000 points of Space Wolves, 8,000 points of Sisters, plus other smaller armies, and now she's starting Nids for 10th. That's amazing. That's amazing. Me and a couple of friends at work. So you've always said, I say you've always said, you have recently said orcs was a mistake.
Yeah.
Why?
There's too many. It's overwhelming.
So it's not because of the hobby itself.
No.
It's because there's too many orcs.
There's too many orcs. I really liked the narrative of them, how colours mean something, and just how they talk. I really liked them. But there's too many, and it's overwhelming, and it's defeatist from the start, because I can't. There's no way I'm ever going to get around to having enough to put on a tabletop.
Okay. So do you think, should you have picked an army with a lot less models, but perhaps a narrative that you don't love as much, you would have carried on?
No.
And this is the problem.
Because I liked orcs.
So I don't think there is... I mean, maybe we could write an orc army that has less models?
Yeah.
Maybe we could do that?
Yeah.
I think?
Yeah.
So this is it's like Drew's like Lugo Custodes, but the thing is, if you don't like the narrative behind Custodes, why would you have any inspiration to build and paint them?
Yeah, that's it. Because I know everyone's going to go Space Marines, but
Space Marines! That's how you say it.
Boring. It's just Space Marines is just like... Yeah, I guess they're a good beginners, but the orcs.
Yeah, okay.
I like the orcs.
So when the new book comes out in 10th edition, we need to see if we can build you an army worthy of Mordor. No, build you an army that is... That's a Saruman quote.
I think I might...
Build me an army worthy of Mordor. Sauron, sorry.
I'm never going to get to a tournament because you're the tournament person. I'm the one that stays home. And plus, I think a tournament room would be wildly fatiguing because in a room full of people anyway, I tune in to different conversations. And the minute I hear a children's voice, I'm straight away like, are you okay? I can't turn it off. So I'm never going to go to a tournament. So I might just play in grey.
I mean, that's also fine.
Because it doesn't.
We're not going to put you on
painted.
stream.
Yeah.
Although, as much as chat would want it, we're not going to put you on stream. I found my monster button where I can go, build me an army worthy of Mordor. You won't hear it. They would have heard the sound effect then. If Luce has to repeat great or good, Liam definitely needs to repeat Space Marines for the rest of the stream. I don't know where that came from me and Eddie. How a deaf person would say it, I think, is what we started with. Wildly offensive. Maybe one could play the new Combat Patrol in 10th since you'll need less models. Yeah, that's a possibility as well. But I think Orcs Combat... What's the Orc Combat Patrol like? Is it still loads of models? Let's have a look. So in the new edition, GW are releasing a thing called Combat Patrol, which is a new way of playing.
Okay.
Where you buy one box of models, which is the Combat Patrol box. You build that the exact way it tells you to in the Combat Patrol card, and you just play with that army, and that's it. Nothing else. Right? So let's have a look what it's like for Xenoth. Orcs. Combat Patrol Orcs. This is the Combat Patrol for Orcs. That's it. That's all you need to build and paint.
No, that's still... Like,
that's still too many.
I'm seeing weeks of free time that is very precious to me.
For reference, chat, right, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. There's 20 Orc boys, which include 2 knobs, I think. There's 1 war boss. There's 1 death dread, and there's 3 copters. So there's 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 25 models, and that's too many for Luce. Okay, I'm now thinking we can't build you the type of Orc army that you want.
Just an itty bitty one, like a recce group. They're just going to have a recce and get into combat.
That is an itty bitty one.
And, no, that's not itty bitty.
Yes, it is.
It's not itty bitty.
It's an itty bitty Orc army.
No, it's not.
No, it's 25 models, Luce.
Well,
that's small.
5.
Then you can't do it with Orcs.
6.
No, that's not how it works. Unless we get you 3 stompers.
Well, there's an aeroplane in my box, so I'll just use the plane. Just use the plane.
Okay.
That's one thing.
Which is like 150 points. You have 2,000 to spend.
Well, then we'll just do the 150. We'll just do that. We're learning.
You can't just use a plane.
We're learning.
You can't just use a plane.
Yes, I can.
No, you can't.
Yes, I can.
No.
Do you have something that will equal 150 points?
Oh, almost definitely, but you can't just use a plane.
Why?
Because you can't. You can't hold any objectives to start with.
Well, then maybe we don't learn the objectives bit. We'll learn the objectives bit when I have more than a plane.
Right, this is... Okay, there we go, chat. This is what I have to deal with. Ran, thank you for the gifted membership. You're a hero. I think I got the other ones already, so I'll add that one to the total right now. Has Mr. John McCardle given me a fresh total yet, people? I haven't seen him pop up in chat. I think he dropped the 50 and fucked off again. It's like Batman. Comes in, drops his yogurt, disappears.
So Vex said a moment ago, let me just get it back up. When I was saying about the room would be wildly fatiguing, he put, aren't you at Dempsey Con anyway? So Dempsey Con is a very different room for me because it's not a tournament. It's pretty much a room of friends. Everybody already knows each other there or thereabouts. Super casual. You can play if you want. You can hobby if you want. You can do neither and just hang out. It is essentially just kind of like the staff room and everybody's on break. You're just in there hanging out. It's not a tournament room, so it's very different.
Papas, what you doing is a great name. He says, just ring the bell at him, Lise. That's not how you win fights now.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Oh, I like the bell.
I'll throw this bottle at you. Not happening. So, general question. Tau can stack to hit on 2+, but Votan can't. Looks that way, yes. Yeah. Poll vote. All numbers have to end in 69. This is my childish chat, Lise.
Yeah.
Whenever they set new goal targets, they just set it at the end of 69. In fact, John's not here. He's not giving me a target. So I'm gonna do it for him right now. There you go. I've done it for him right now, okay? Oh, my question was unclear. I meant not using any of those units, Angron, 8-band, and Avocado. That makes much more sense, Adam. I mean, you can still have a playable faction, but it won't be anywhere near as good, obviously. You can still run, like, Berserker Spam, Rhinos, just a standard Juggerlords. You can still do all that. It won't be as effective. It's still going to be decent, though. But I would probably wait till the new index comes out.
I sound like a Knights player.
Yeah.
Do I?
Well, you can play 5 models of Knights.
Ooh. Are they like Space Marines?
John says he's right fucking... I've been asking you a question, John, you fucking bellend. I said, what do you want the new members' total target to be? Because every person who breaks a target gives us the new target. So I just upped it to 1569, because apparently these childish fuckers want it to end in 69 every time. When I say these childish fuckers, I mean specifically Mandy and Zena. Of course, it's the women. It's the women that bring the crass. It's always the way. It's always the way.
Lowering the tone.
Always lower the tone. And actually, we want them in the hobby, quite frankly. At the peak of a struggle cuddle, you should ring the bell, says Asbo. That is life advice that you can't get on any other channel. At the peak of a struggle cuddle, ring the bell. You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Going through a tunnel now. I mean, you're not driving, are you? Oh no, it's John McCardle, isn't it? He'll be being driven. That's why he's texting. Yeah. His usher's just cracking the whip on them horses. Come on, Jeeves. Get through this tunnel. I've got YouTube to watch. Don't you know? Papa says you should start with 69. Papa's, why are you a grey name? What's happening there? Ah, the perfect, thanks. It says, oh, okay, I don't know what that's in relation to. I have the Stomper, that miniature hobbyist made from sprues Luce can have to play with. Stompers might work. Just give you 3 Stompers. It's probably about 2,000 points.
What's a Stomper?
It's a giant orc vehicle. It's about that big.
That's too big. No, I like the little. I like how little they are.
These women coming here and stealing our hobby. Exactly, Tony. Exactly. So you want little models,
yeah,
but you don't want lots of them.
No, little.
This is the wrong hobby for you, Luce. This is the wrong hobby for you.
I'm in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. Yeah,
in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room. Oh my god.
I should really get round to building and painting them. Maybe.
Well, you don't have to. The thing is, right? I say this to people all the time. In the hobby in general. I know the hobby isn't currently your hobby at the moment, but I say this to people all the time, right? Never force yourself to hobby.
Then it'll never get done.
Because you just won't enjoy it.
Then it will never get done.
Then later on, if you force yourself to hobby once, later on, your last experience is a negative experience, and you'll be less likely to want to pick up the brush or the snips again, because the last experience was a negative experience. So if you're not in the mood to hobby, don't pick it up. Leave it alone. So when you go, oh, I should build and paint. No. If you sit there and think, I actually fancy doing a bit of building. Okay, cool. Pick it up. Start doing it. Have a play with it. If you're like, oh, I should, but I don't want to, then just don't do it. It's not worth it.
I find the packaging really bizarre.
It's a box.
Yeah, I know. I think stuff marketed for women, there's much more faff in the packaging. So I find the packaging a little bit bizarre.
Boris says, so size does matter. Absolutely. The packaging is bizarre. Why?
Because it's all just kind of like thrown in. I don't know. It's always been a thing that's baffled me, that something that costs so much money is kind of just thrown in the box. Even though it can't break. I don't know. It's definitely, I feel like.
I always find it fascinating with Warhammer, right? That we pay for little toys that we then have to build.
No, that makes sense to me.
But we pay a lot of money for toys, more money than a lot of other toys, that we then have to build and paint.
Yeah, but people who build dolls' houses that have electric lights and little things, they have to build that, and that's a fortune.
Is it expensive, that stuff? Excuse me, chat. Sorry,
Yeah.
I'm very tired. Is it expensive, that stuff?
Yeah.
Really?
But that's your hobby. Like, you like to build it, and you pour yourself over it, so it makes sense to me. So, and the Warhammer makes sense that you have to build it, and you might have to soak something in hot water and reshape it and stuff, so that makes sense. But I just think the packaging's a bit.
This is the interesting thing as well, right? There are definitely people out there who just play and don't care about building and painting. Now, to be fair, in the studio, we have painted orcs that you can use.
Maybe that's the answer to it. Maybe I just buy an already painted thing.
You can just use ones in the studio. There are already people out there that are like, don't like building, don't like painting, I just want to play.
Okay.
But there's also a bunch of people out there that want to build and paint, don't want to play.
Yeah.
So there's like, the thing is, one of the wonderful things about the hobby in general is it's multifaceted, okay? So you've got the narrative and the lore and learning about that. You've got the building and the converting. You've got the painting. You've got the playing. It's multifaceted. And no matter what anyone says to you, and this includes all of you people in chat, right? No matter what anyone says to you, you do not have. Okay, you're not obliged.
Yeah.
You're not obliged to actually partake in all of the aspects. If you don't give a flying fuck about the lore, but you enjoy building and painting, you want to play, you don't have to worry about the lore. You don't have to care about the narrative. If you don't want to build and paint because it's a chore to you, you can buy, you can commission, you can buy from eBay and just play. If you don't give a fuck about any of the tabletop hobby at all and you just want to consume the narrative, you can do that as well. There is no wrong answer here.
So
it just isn't.
I would definitely, if I had, maybe it's just my brain is so taken up by the time my free time comes around, I just sort of stare at the TV. But because this hobby is enormous, I would definitely think, why not take advantage of getting into the lore and reading the books and building and painting? Because this one thing I've bought, I actually have access to like 5 branches of different aspects of it, so why wouldn't I like get my money's worth kind of thing? But it is enormous. And
I'm just going to clip that statement.
It is enormous.
It is enormous.
So I know there are people who love the narrative, don't want to do the tournament scene because they're so happy with the narrative.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But then I'd fight that whole thing of, yeah, but it's there. Like, why not? It's right there. You can learn it all.
But I do all of it. I build, paint, play, read lists. I was listening to narrative there and back to Birmingham today. I do tournaments. I do narrative events. I just love everything with a hobby, and that's.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, it's one of the reasons why it's the perfect hobby, because I love all the aspects of it. But what I'm saying is, you don't have to love all the aspects of it. You can love one part of it. If you think you are more interested in the dice rolling part at the tabletop and that social aspect, just use the Studio Orc Army.
Yeah, maybe because if I get like the chess set out, I'm not painting the chess pieces. I want it to already be done so I can play chess. So maybe that's my association, that you want me to build.
So Zena says, I paint and play. 40k Medic builds them for me as I'm not trusted with sharp objects. Stefan's just said, oh no, not Stefan, Scott's just said, Luce could just get Joe to paint her chosen army. He's busy enough as it is. Papa's has just said, I've decided to not bother with painting or playing, just going to stalk stream chats. You are most welcome, sir, especially with some of your comments and jokes. You are most welcome in the stream chat. You're a legend. JT says, I'm late. I'm sure I was missed. Yeah, of course you were. I mean, we were about 25 minutes ago, 30 minutes ago, if you rewind, we were having a conversation between all 260 of us. Where's JT? Where is he? We did, didn't we? We had that conversation?
We did, yeah.
Yeah, see? Yeah, exactly. Use the Studio Orcs, but paint one unit for it so they feel like yours when you play and you're more committed. Yeah, just don't paint one of the ones already painted.
Dax, you're probably onto something. Maybe if I play with a fully painted army.
So I used to, before I started YouTube, when I actually used to manage to paint my own armies and my own models, I used to build an army and then start playing with it whilst it's grey, because that would then make me want to paint it because I'm playing with it. And you're like, because you're getting use out of it. If you just have it sat on the shelf doing nothing, you're getting no use out of it. I think that you can struggle with the motivation to put it on the painting station and start painting it. But if you start playing with it, you're like, and so I used to play with one of my closest friends, Lee, and we both put armies on the table, and slowly but surely each of us would be making progress on painting, and so one of us would then almost hold the other one accountable as well. Like, I've made progress, why haven't you made progress? Not quite that kind of.
Super nervous that I'll only be able to handle like maybe 3 rules, and then I'll have to be like, I need to stop. That migraine's coming back, and my eyes twitching. I think I'm having a stroke. I need to stop. Again, I think 10th is going to help that on the whole, if I'm honest with you. So it won't be annoying for you if I learned something last week, for example, and we go back in the garage and I go, as long as we're not all of it.
As long as we're not streaming it, yeah, of course.
Okay.
Because if we're on the 13th stream and we're still on the command phase, people go, I'm not going to tune in anymore. 13 command phases. We've not even watched a bullet fly yet. Right?
You're getting your money's worth, though.
Fucking right you are. Week. It'd be like fucking Big Brother, wouldn't it? Day 264. Luce is still on the command phase.
What accent's that?
Bad.
You can't be northern and say command.
Okay.
Command.
I'm happy with that. I'm happy. I'm happy with that. D. It's a Geordie when they do the vowels, isn't it? If you've ever been to Newcastle, Geordie vowels, right? There's 5 vowels. We all know there's 5 vowels: A, E, I, O, U. And if you go to Geordie, go anywhere near Newcastle, their 5 vowels are E, 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 E. That's their vowels in Geordie land, okay? Fight me. That's exactly what it is. If Dave B's in chat, he's gonna have a go at me now. What is your preferred way to paint? Assembled, sub-assembled, or on the sprue? Ugh. That's a really hard one to answer, 40k Medic. I like both assembled and sub-assembled. I will never paint on sprue.
Why not?
Because you have to clip it out, and then you're clipping bits, and then you end up with clipped edges that you haven't painted. Then you have to paint it anyway once you've clipped it, so you might as well just fucking paint it already clipped. So the problem I have, so I prefer painting fully assembled because it means the model's built, and I ain't got to worry about heads in one part and fucking backpacks in another part. He says, with the Sons of Horror Space Marine here, who's a body and a head, right? But then the reason why I like to paint sub-assemblies is because I hate the idea of not being able to get to something that I then can see, even if it's only vaguely see, right? Though Joe's a pretty much build everything and paint it man, but I think if I had to pick one, I'm going to build complete and paint. But if I'm trying to paint to a very high standard, I won't do that because I'll know there's too many missed bits. If I'm painting to a high standard, the model doesn't get glued to the base, the head doesn't get glued, often the gun doesn't get glued, and the backpack doesn't get glued, right? Sprue painters lick the brush. I lick the brush. What's wrong with that? Crimson VRs. Harry, Luce learning to play from scratch would be a great series for those of us that are new to the game. Yeah, it would be great for you until you're going, right, I'm ready for the next phase. And she's still in the command phase.
And that's what I'm worried about, because I'm an incredibly slow learner. But once it's in, it's in. But getting the information in my thick skull can drive a man to drink. I'm sure of it. There we have it. Concept proven.
I'm not saying I was teetotal before I met Luce.
Yeah. I think I'm just... I reckon you have... Well, they say that there's so many different, like, neurotypes. And we're all wonderful in our own ways. And I wonder if there's just... So maybe not divergent or typical, but maybe there's just people who are just incredibly slow learners because it's so not part of their neuropathy to learn that thing.
Day 4, and Luce is in the diary room, doing her command phase. Why?
She didn't really get it, did she, Amy? She didn't really put her all into that one. Before he came in, says, I always paint sub-assembled. The other thing that stresses me about painting sub-assembled as well, by the way, is that when I then go to glue it together, I'm worried I'm going to fuck the paint job with glue. That genuinely concerns me.
Then move the paint.
So it depends on what glue you use. So if you were to use plastic cement, for example, which is the best for bonding plastic together, it will melt the paint that you put on. So if you ever slip or you squidge it too much, you'll fuck your glue. You'll fuck your paint. But yeah, What's my favourite colour of paint? Red. 100% red. And if you are a Haskell tier member and you go onto the channel community page, there's been 2 posts recently, behind the scenes posts, for the new army that I'm working on, which I am, in fact, doing in red. There you go. Learning with Loose, new show. We've tried. I mean, maybe. I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say yes. Because if it gets to a point where it's like, actually, I've read the rule book, I don't want to learn 10th edition, then there's no... I'm not going, I'm sorry, we fucking promised the people. Get in there and fucking learn.
Yeah.
Right? That's not how this house works. Honest. So, yeah. I won't say definitely yes. But if we read through the rule book, like as a vague skim through, had a bit of a chat about it, it's like, actually, I would like to like content. And if she's like, yeah, okay, then it could be on. All right.
It's on.
J-Code quotes Loose 2023. Once it's in, it's in.
That's it.
No pulling out.
And it's not serrated either.
Barbed is the... Oh, I understand that he's having a touch of the tism myself. Oh, I mean... New elves. Is it elves? It's not elves. Haskell tier members can see it, Vex. That's all I'm saying, right? I bet it's elves. It's not elves. We've got an elf army. It's not elves. Right, anyway. 2 minutes to go. You reaching for your book?
Time to choose a number between.
Chat, I need a number. First person to choose a number that is between...
1
and
311.
So a number between number 1 and 311. First person to post a number wins. That wasn't countdown. 16.
Yes, it was.
Marcus Jensen picked 16. We've got a number.
That was countdown. 16. Okay. Oh, this one's a good one.
Okay. Is it a good one?
I think it's a good one.
Is it spurious?
Well, we don't know. But you need to choose another number. So you choose this number now.
69.
No.
Oh, this is the next number that popped up in chat.
Do you know, the amount of times you choose that number, I'm never going to choose it. Just stop choosing that number.
I don't choose that number. That's Mandy and Zenna, not me. Go on.
Can you go from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, between 1 and 7?
11. Mystic said 1 straight away, so there you go.
Okay.
The only number that's popped up that's between 1 and 7, or whatever you said.
Okay.
You need to read it out loud. Hang on a minute. You ready?
Yeah. Aglet. The metal or plastic covering on the end of a shoelace.
What's it called?
Aglet.
Aglet.
Yeah.
A-G-L-E-T.
Yeah. Aglet.
Why does it need a name?
Everything needs a name.
Yeah, why is
Otherwise, we'll all be going, that there, and you'll go, what, this one? No, not that one, that one. This one? No, not that one, that one. Now we can go, can you have a look at the aglet, please?
There's 260 people in chat right now, right? How many of you have used the word aglet?
My aglet's coming off, babe.
How many of you have ever been in this... How many of you have ever been in a situation where you need to talk about the metal thingy on the end of a shoelace? Now, for those of you from the Midlands, we're talking about aglet, not anklet, right? It's not that you're on fucking parole and you've just been allowed out the house, right? Aglet.
Do you know there are prisons in other parts of the country besides the Midlands?
Is there?
Yes.
None, says Wargamer. Exactly. Has been in a pub quiz, says ADL Wargamer. I'm sure it has. I think Ads just spends every day of every week driving to a different pub quiz in the country.
If you
'Cause
find
he goes
yourself,
to any pub quiz and just wins.
Yeah, if you find yourself in a pub quiz, you need Adam on your team.
If I had to stand up to a pub quiz, they don't even do the quiz, they just hand him the trophy.
Yeah, they don't bother anymore.
Yeah. Daily, says Bridges, fuck off. As often as I can. Fuck you lot. No. Daily Iglets, says Jonathan. Well, it can't be, because you maybe spelled it right.
Aglets.
Yes, it says I wear slip-on shoes. Right, so, talking about laces and stuff, right, chat? Yeah. One parting thought for you all, right? I want you to do something right now for me. Just picture a grown person who wears Velcro.
Yeah.
Just leave you with that thought.
Yeah.
That's it. Just picture that better. What? Dare I ask your description of a grown person who wears Velcro?
In a care home.
Okay, you were a different route. Okay, fine.
No, that's a person. A grown-up person.
I think by that point,
Velcro.
they're not really people anymore.
How rude! They're heroes. You're quite right. They're heroes.
Right. Anyway, that's it. That's the end of the stream. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. You people have been incredible. And Munch has still not been got. And Puppas is still grey. And Madman is still grey. And Strange and Knocking Hobbies is still grey. And JT is still grey. Shocking, really. Shocking from all of you, right? I need more people to choose to be members all by themselves. Exclamation mark chat. If you don't do that sort of stuff, the kids don't eat. It's true, isn't it?
Stop it. No, it's not true. No.
The food hierarchy in the house goes dog,
Yeah.
loose,
No.
me,
No.
kids,
No.
down here somewhere.
Wait,
I think the kids go...
is there another person in this house?
Yeah, I think the kids go underneath the garden birds.
We need to keep feeding the birds. Because the insect count is down, so then the bird count will go down. And once you start feeding the birds in your garden, you become part of their food chain, and they keep coming back to your garden because you keep putting food out. So you must keep feeding the birds. As soon as you start feeding them, you have to keep feeding.
There you go. There you go. That's it from us tonight, chat, anyway. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. There'll be more shows next week, as always, and I'll be less sore and less moany. Of course, like I said, if you want to let me know what you think about towel rules, stick them in the comments on the video below. I read as many of them as in fact, I read all of them. I don't always reply to all of them, but I read all of them. I'd love to know what you guys think. I actually don't think they're as bad as the towel players would lead you to believe. The world is not falling down. I'm going to finish my beer right now, clean my arm up, wrap it for bed, and try and get some sleep. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.